Hello everyone and welcome to the Hunter Association, your source for all things Hunter x Hunter. My name is Kaige.
And my name is Dylan.
And on this week's episode, we are talking about Hunter x Hunter 1999, episodes 25 through 27.
This will be a good one, I think. Good discussion.
Yeah, this is surprisingly an interesting batch here.
Yeah, all around. It'll be a good one.
Yes. Yeah, I fully agree. Then after that, we will be going through our community comments. If you'd like to join in on the community and have your comment read, be sure to comment on the YouTube version on the weekly community posts. Also, make sure to like and subscribe to help grow our community of Hunter x Hunter fans. Additionally, if you'd like to know when new episodes are live, click the bell to enable notifications. If you're an audio listener, make sure to rate, review, and comment on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Also, be sure to follow us on Twitter at TXHXAPod, as well as Bluesky at THAPod for podcast-related updates and to submit responses to the weekly call-out posts. If you'd like, you can also email us at hunterassociationpod@gmail.com. As always, we provided timestamps in the description if you'd like to skip ahead to any of the aforementioned segments.
Hell yeah.
News.
So yeah, there is one piece of breaking news that I have right here for you guys, and that is there is no news. Yeah.
Oh.
So yeah.
I see.
Sorry to break it to you guys, but you
Well,
know, I didn't say it was new news, but yeah, no news.
Hey,
Sorry.
any news is news. I'll take it.
This is true. You know, it's all about perspective, right?
That's right. Unfortunately, we also do not have new pages for the Battle for Owl to talk about this week. But as always, make sure to go check out the fan wiki by insert name to see the past pages and so on and so forth. So obviously, this intro segment here is going to be pretty short this week. How are you, Dylan?
I'm doing pretty good. I've been working out again recently. I've been playing a lot of One Piece trading card game as of late. Trying to get better
right
at that.
on.
Yeah, going to some local events for that. How about you, Kaige? How have you been?
Oh, not too bad. I went to a nature preserve today. That was nice.
Okay, nice.
Saw a beaver.
A beaver? Whoa, like in the
A
wild.
beaver.
Wow.
No, he was in his habitat.
Oh, okay.
But
That's cool.
yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
Beaver.
Beavers.
Let's go.
Woo! Then Impact comes out next month.
Yes.
Getting more hyped for that as the days go on. Still need to figure out
Yeah.
where I'm buying it on because there's pros and cons for both PC and console. So I got to figure that out.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. I've been playing Deltarune in my free time when possible. It's pretty good. Pretty good.
Hell yeah. I haven't been playing much.
No, Kaige isn't a gamer anymore, guys.
Switch
Sorry
2,
to say.
I play Mario Kart and stuff. Okay,
We've ran out of
well,
stuff to talk about. Yeah.
so that's the intro segment. Thanks, guys.
Woo! We filled out an extra minute than we would have otherwise.
Let's
Awesome.
go. All right, let's talk about these episodes.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about. Let's get into it.
All right, everybody, welcome to our discussion on episode 25 to 27 of the Hunter x Hunter 1999 anime adaptation. So, as we were saying in the intro a little bit, this is a very interesting batch. I'm actually pretty excited to talk about these.
Yeah. There's a lot to talk about in a lot of different a lot of different ways, I guess. I don't know. This batch of episodes in particular, just it hits a lot of very different notes, episode to episode. So this is an interesting one to discuss.
Starting off with what's probably the least interesting of the bunch, Slither Stinger in the Cave. This is episode 25, and what we have here is a pretty stock standard adaptation. There's not a whole lot of original content here to talk about.
Although that's not what we expected going into it based off the last episode's preview.
Yeah, we'll get there, but that ended up being not a whole lot.
No, but yeah, we'll get there.
So we're picking up right where we left off. Gon and Kilo's not there. Gon and Kurapika are running into the cave after Leorio told them not to.
Mm-hmm.
So, they didn't listen.
No, but they're friends. That's what friends are for.
That's right. And they find him on the ground, covered in bites. And he's like, "Oh, you guys are dumbasses. Why did you do this?" But We see that there are snakes around that he killed. I think we also saw this in the last week's episode, so that's probably
Yeah,
not a shocker.
he was like surrounded by snakes. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's how it ended.
Yeah. So they're like, well, damn, this is bad. He is like completely covered. He's gonna like die if we don't do something. So Gon uses his knowledge of the wilderness to start sucking the blood out of the wounds, or the venom out of the wounds.
Immediately, though, it's like, okay, you're just gonna do that for every single bite on his body
Yeah.
there. Like,
I mean, what else are you gonna do, really?
I guess, yeah. But I mean, even he says it like 5 seconds later too. Like, yeah, this
It's
ain't gonna
pointless.
work.
Yeah.
And Kurapika is searching through his briefcase the entire time as well, trying to find if Leorio has any antidote on him. He doesn't. That's kind of weird in my opinion,
No.
but you know.
Yeah, you'd think you'd have something for like venomous animals.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. We didn't say he was the best doctor right out the gate.
True. True. Maybe no money for kind of
True.
medication like that.
Yeah, too expensive. He just has ibuprofen in there. That's it.
Yeah, just ibuprofen. So Ponzu, who is also in the cave with Bourbon as well, the snake charmer, is explaining that this is a trap initiated by Bourbon. That basically, once you go into the cave, you can't leave because the snakes are just they're gonna bite you and kill you.
Yeah.
If you try to leave. So they're like, all right, well, let's just barter with Bourbon here and try to get a solution. Let's try to work this out.
Yeah.
Well, he's dead.
Ponzu's just like, yeah, about that. I kind of killed him.
Yeah, I killed his ass. My bad. Was an accident though.
Yeah, we'll get to that here soon. But
yes. So Kurapika tries to go up and search for an antidote on Bourbon's body, but the snakes attack him as he approaches. So that's also not really an option.
No, but by the way, that scene was just really well framed, I thought, with just like the snakes coming out of the shadows to like jump out at
Yeah.
kind of like a jump
It was
scare.
cool.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
pretty cool.
I do really like how the snakes are like handled in this episode. They're all
Yeah.
like, it's like the implication is that they're there, but they only really make themselves seen and known whenever there's somebody approaching them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's cool. They're just like kind of hiding in shadows.
Yeah, really cool.
So Ponzu explains the whole deal about, how she got in this mess. And I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. She came in here because her target was Bourbon. And she initially walked up to Bourbon. Or wait, how did this go? Sorry, hold on. Let me rewind a little bit.
But I believe, Bourbon went into the cave. Ponzu...
Yeah, first.
Yeah, and then Ponzu
Followed.
followed after putting sleeping gas in the cave. That's the important part.
Right.
She flooded the cave
right.
with sleeping gas. So basically, the goal is that he'd be asleep and she can take his badge, right?
Yes.
As she walked up to him, he already set the trap, like within the cave, and for like if someone were to approach him, right? He's asleep though the entire time, so she didn't think he would react as she was walking up to him. Obviously, the snakes jumped out at her though, and she screamed. And that initiated her whole thing and killed him in response.
Yes, it activated her wasp thing, her wasp hat.
Which, by the way, is animated really strangely here, I think. They just kind of like bubble out of her hat almost. It looks super, super creepy. But
It's cool. I'm pretty sure they do it almost the same way in 2011. It's really neat.
it is neat. It makes no physical sense though. At the same time.
Yeah, no.
What is her hat made out of?
I don't know. I mean, if this were later in the series, I would just say this is a Nen ability, which
Right.
I guess it technically still could be, but I don't think Ponzu knew Nen.
No, I don't think the implication is there either.
Yeah, no.
Just an observation I had. Like, wow, I don't remember it looking that freaky.
Yeah, it's neat though. So obviously they're kind of like, well, I mean, damn, what can we even do? This is kind of fucked.
Yeah, not the greatest situation to be in, to say the least.
No.
Also, I gotta say though, before Ponzu even explained that entire ordeal, that situation with Bourbon, Kurapika, being the genius that he is in '99, somehow guessed it one for one with how Bourbon died.
Oh yeah.
I needed
this
to
will
point
also
that out.
be. There's so many examples. There's even more to come of just Kurapika having knowledge that there's like no way he should.
No, yeah, he's like the cause
Or
of death
what
was
he could.
probably anaphylactic shock. Like, what the hell
Yeah.
are you talking
Like,
about, dude?
no way, bro. Come
How
on.
could you guess that just from basic like looking at him and like a couple welts on his hand? I don't understand.
He just knows everything somehow. He's an all-knowing entity.
He really is. He's God's favorite child, truly.
He really is.
But yeah.
So, Gon, of course, takes matters into his own hands and decides to just kind of go for it, balls to the wall. Let's just go up to Bourbon and do something here.
Right.
So he approaches with the intent of just getting an antidote. He doesn't even know if there actually is one on the body, which is what they've been kind of debating between each other.
Yeah, although it's likely, because like
It's likely.
As Kurapika puts it later, like, you know, venom and poison is kind of a really bad bargaining tool when you don't have an antidote on you, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So, it's likely, but it's not guaranteed, but Gon decides to risk it anyways.
And he gets covered in snakes, a bit probably even worse than Leorio.
Yeah, he's crying as he's like reaching for the
Yep.
antidote. It hurts very bad, I would imagine.
But he gets it, and he tosses it to Kurapika. Meanwhile, Ponzu just kind of looks on in shock. Because, like, she's obviously not used to Gon, but the others are.
And they're like, oh yeah, this is natural.
Yep.
He's him.
Of course you would do this. Yep. So, this is also kind of cool. Ponzu helps out with tending to both of their wounds. She pulls Gon away from the snakes and also gives him his antidote while Kurapika takes care of Leorio.
I was about to say, it was just Kurapika that treated both of them, and both the manga and 99, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so.
In 2011, you mean?
Oh, 2011. Yeah, my bad.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. It was cool to see Ponzu kind of like, I don't know, just have more character here as a result.
Yeah, it was really sweet. I actually thought that was a really cool addition there.
Yeah.
So next, we cut away for a moment to what we saw in the preview. And who is this guy? Have we seen him before?
I don't know if we have. I'm going to look through the Hunterpedia right now. But, yeah, his name was Kenmi, right?
Okay.
Yeah,
sure.
Kenmi. Yeah.
Kenmi.
He
Okay,
is in
he's
2011.
real.
He is in 2011. Yeah. He is real.
In the manga. Yeah, he's real. He, I guess, I don't know. I don't know how much of the manga he's actually in.
I guess that's so weird. So in all the other adaptations, I think he was eliminated by the Amori brothers in like a very small scene. Like his badge got taken by them. So interesting repurpose there.
That's 99 for you, man. They just kind of do things.
Yeah.
They do whatever they want.
They had to give Tompa a moment to shine here.
They had to. And, you know, this was actually a pretty impressive showing. I cannot lie.
Yeah, no, Tompa could fight. Low key.
Yeah, so Tompa jumps Kenmi here out of the sand as he's walking. But he's completely ignoring what is it, Kenmi?
Kenmi.
I just said it. Kenmi. They're completely ignoring what he's saying because he keeps being like, dude, there's no point. Stop. This is so pointless. But he just keeps going for it. And he takes him down in a clean move. He kicks sand up at him and just knocks him to the ground with a headbutt and then, like, sits on his stomach.
Yeah, like, well, where was this before, Tompa? Like, you could
you could have used this.
I guess you could make the argument he's conserving his energy, right? But, like, man, I didn't know you had that dog in you, you know?
Yeah, for real. And then finally, as Tompa begins to search his body for the badge, Kenmi is finally able to explain, bro, I lost that shit forever ago.
Yeah, like Hanzo grabbed that from me like 2 nights ago or something.
It's over. And then he sits on his face until he passes out.
That got a laugh out of me, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, that's a power move.
Can't say I was expecting it, so kind of caught me off guard.
And we end off Tompa's time in 99, presumably. I don't want to stay. I maybe he'll come back. I can't speak too soon with 99. But presumably the last Tompa scene, he is just expressing his disdain for the fact that his frustration.
That's not the last that we see of Tompa. There is one more scene. You're forgetting.
Is there?
Yes.
I guess I am forgetting.
Ponzu.
Oh, of course.
I was about to say, like, huh? Like this isn't the last.
Well, whatever. That's kind of a whatever scene. We'll get to it though. So we cut back to the cave now, where Gon is up and better. I guess this anti-venom works very fast.
Yeah, like he's already like good to go. Like
yeah. It's even more crazy when you take into account what he does immediately after this. I really don't think he could have done that, but he's a forest boy.
He is Tarzan basically. So
that's right.
Yeah, whatever. I believe it. Anyways, yeah, we can get into the discussion of that right now, I suppose.
Yeah, so Gon surprisingly uses his brain a little bit here. He is bartering. He's talking. He has Bourbon's badge. He got it from his body. So he's like, all right, do what I tell you to do. Put your faith in me, and I'll give you this badge.
Yeah, give me some sleeping gas that you have still, and this badge is yours.
Yep. So his plan, of course, is to use the sleeping gas to knock all of the snakes out, which will also knock everybody else out. But Gon wants to hold his breath and carry everybody out of the cave while the snakes are asleep. Which sounds insane, but Gon proudly proclaims that his record for holding his breath is 9 minutes and 30 seconds. So that's impressive. Definitely not a world record, but that's really damn good.
Yeah, that's impressive to me. I could probably hold my breath for like no more than 2 minutes, so,
Max, yeah. I've never tried because it makes me wildly uncomfortable to not breathe, obviously. But
I tried it when I was like way younger. I think it was like 1.5 minutes or so that I did it for. But,
hey, that's not bad.
No, not bad, but it was quite uncomfortable. I do remember that much. So 9 minutes. 9 minutes plus is absolutely insane.
Yeah, pretty insane, and definitely more time than he needs. But Ponzu's like, I mean, sure, but your time's gonna be even less now that you like got bit by snakes and stuff.
Yeah, and he's like, no, I got this.
Yeah, it's all right. And she just keeps like being concerned about it. She's not sure, but then Leorio and Kurapika both chime in and like, just trust him. He's gonna do this. It's all right.
Yep. So Ponzu unlocks the sleeping gas once Gon is ready, and they all get knocked out almost immediately.
Yep.
And the cave is filling with the sleeping gas. Snakes are starting to drop one by one from the sleeping gas, and Gon is just holding his breath there, and that goes into a little monologue as well of recounting his struggles up until this point, I guess, right? Or just like the many events.
Yeah, just happened. Like the people he met along the way and everything that's happened so far. Just kind of reflects for a moment.
And this is also where we learn about what happened with the badges here, right? Because we were a little confused from this last
he did leave the badges on the ground in this adaptation.
Yeah. So
okay.
Glad we got that cleared up.
Interesting.
Yeah. I'm not sure.
It ultimately changes nothing, but
yeah. I've been going back and forth on whether it makes like that whole like stretch of like the episodes of like him dealing with the aftermath, like if that makes it better or worse, because I'm honestly not sure. Not that it matters, like you said, but like it's just
it ends up just being nothing because like we don't even get to see him pick them up. Spoiler, but we don't. He goes back and gets them, and that's it. We just believe that he did it.
Yeah.
It's weird. It left me scratching my head. And 99 will do that a lot. It's just like, why did they do this? What was the point? And here, I guess it was just to give more of a physical form to Gon's despair about the situation.
Yeah, and I mean, there's an argument you can make for that. But at the same time, with us not even really seeing him actually pick up the badges and go through with that, it leaves a little to be desired, I think. I don't know. It's just weird, like you said.
It's super weird. But it happened. We'll finish that up, kind of. I mean, we can't really talk about it a whole lot more because we don't get to see him pick them up.
Mm-hmm.
But, so... Oh, sorry, did you have something to say?
No, I was just gonna say, in any case, Gon picks up everybody and gets out of that cave, no problem.
Yep. And he drops everybody off, and then he goes and runs off and gets his badges. And that's it.
Doesn't even wait for them to wake up. He
nope. He's in a hurry. Which, fair enough. I mean, I would have been worried that... And honestly, whenever this happened, my mind immediately went to, like... So is this going to be additional filler now where, like, somebody picked up the badges and he has to fight for them or something? But no, this is just it.
Yep. Leorio and Kurapika wake up, like, really soon after he leaves, which I thought was kind of impressive.
And then Ponzu doesn't.
So Ponzu's knocked the fuck out.
She'll be waking up by something much worse.
Yeah, so Leorio's like, well, don't mind if I do then. And, just kind of takes her badge. That's it.
Yep. That's that. They do leave her bourbons as promised, though.
Which, technically, there was a difference, I believe, within the manga and 2011, in that, like, it was Gon that kind of took her badge while she was asleep and gave it to Leorio. It was, like, kind of, like... he, like, exclaimed out loud, basically, that was Ponzu's fee for, like, saving her. Or something like that, but...
Yeah.
A little different here. I don't think it really changes anything, but...
Not a whole lot, no. I guess it makes Gon seem nicer.
I guess, yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah,
whatever.
Just thought I'd point out that difference, since I saw
it stood out to me as well. So the fourth phase has now ended with that. The broadcast, that news is broadcasted all over the island as everybody starts to, pop out of their hiding spots and whatnot and make their way to the starting course. And yes, we do see Tompa once again. I totally forgot about this, and for good reason, I will add. But Tompa is seen running in a desperate attempt to get his points, where he then sees Ponzu.
Mind you, he only has one badge worth 1 point right now.
Yeah, so, like, what's even the point, brother? You gotta let it go.
Which, okay, when you keep that in mind, I kind of like this small little scene just as, like, a last-second, like, gag for Tompa, right? Like, he just does not give up until the very end trying to crush rookies. Even when there's
sure
no point.
Doesn't. Yeah, it's admirable because, he really doesn't give up. But in, both the manga and 2011, he really does actually just give up at a certain point. We would have seen the last of him a while ago if this were either of those. But he stuck around. And so he's... I don't even really know why he's actually rummaging through Ponzu. I guess he's trying to find other badges that Ponzu might have beyond the one in her hand. But regardless, Ponzu wakes up and sees him rummaging through her things, and she assumes that he's a perv and punches him square in the face. And
also sees that her own badge is gone, and she thinks that Tompa stole it, and
Yep.
Tompa gets his face beaten in by Ponzu.
Yep. So that's that. That's the end of Tompa officially now.
As Tompa says, well, I guess that's enough for this year's exam. And that's it.
Good job, Tompa. You did it, man. You did it.
You did it, brother.
Yeah, so who knows if we'll see him again? I cannot confidently say. I mean, you never know with 99. Maybe he'll come back later.
Yeah, he'll cameo in Heaven's Arena or something, But
yeah. Well, I guess we will see him again in Greed Island for the Killua re-exam.
Oh, you're right. Yeah. Forgot about that.
That's it. Yeah. Unless they cut that scene, but I can't imagine they would.
No.
So, this now brings us to, I'll just say, my favorite episode of the bunch. This is episode 26, Chairman Interview Written Exam.
This one was a fun one. I'm excited to talk about this one.
Yeah, so this is entirely filler. Well, not entirely. There's still some canon here, but it's practically filler because of all the stuff surrounding it.
There's a lot of padding within this episode.
Yeah, but, padding is a better way to phrase it.
Pretty good padding, though. Spoiler alert. Yeah.
I really like what they did here. This is just a lot of fun with the participants.
Fun. That's the key word. Yeah.
So we start off with Gon and Killua talking about their time on Zevil Island because they haven't seen each other in a while. And he's Keel was assuming that Gon passed by getting other people's badges, as you would, because his target was Hisoka.
He's like, oh, you
But then
sly
Gon-
dog. I knew you would get, other people's badges. Like, no
Yeah.
biggie,
Yep. But he pulls out Hisoka's badge.
Yeah, he's like, no shot, dude. What?
Yeah,
How?
like what the hell, bro? No chance. But Gon quickly explains that it was given to him. Which, it's definitely what Gon would say in this moment, but it's a little more than that. You got to give himself some credit, and he will later.
Yeah, and I like this a lot because it kind of like it doesn't foreshadow necessarily, but it sets up this like it sets up for a really sweet moment later on with Gon as well, as it kind of. They're reintroducing the whole thing basically, like Gon feels like shit for like what happened with Hisoka's badge and just everything surrounding that, right?
Yeah.
He is not happy with himself, and like he kind of plays it off as like very nonchalant here, but like that again, that'll lead into a different moment later that I really like, but it's a good setup for that.
Yeah. So, now all the participants are gathered together with from Flesh Beans, who then summons every other proctor. What are they called?
Examinee.
No, the people that do the exam.
Oh, proctors, right?
Is it proctor? Okay, yeah. That didn't sound right for some reason. But they all come in, and oh my god, Netero. Why did I forget Netero's name?
Whoa,
what the hell?
Dude,
what is happening?
Dude, what's wrong with you today?
Something's up. So Netero explains to them all that the final phase is about to happen. And he's about to not tell them at all what the final phase is. Well, actually, no, he did straight up just doesn't tell them. But
yeah, he's like,
Leorio asks. Yeah, and he does. It's a secret, which I really liked. That'll come back later. So now all the participants are just kind of chilling in the room, talking to each other, which I loved. And of course, Ilumi and Hisoka are just kind of chilling in their own corner, not talking to people, as they do.
Yeah, as the loners that they are.
Yep. But the others are speculating on what this final phase could be. And, they're also just kind of reflecting on what they've done so far.
Yeah. Like look at us, how far we've gotten,
Yeah, look at what we've done. And now Bodoro here, our man.
Bodoro.
This is 99. I knew it was coming. I knew 99 would take this opportunity to endear us to Bodoro before he ultimately dies, and here it is. And they did a great job because I really like this. So Bodoro chimes in, and he's giving this profound speech with lots of evidence about what he believes the final phase will be.
Yeah, because as he puts it, it's like, okay, well, phase 1 tested our physical abilities, obviously, right? Physical endurance, basically, and stamina. Phase 2 was all about observation, kind of like observing the weakness of like the big pigs, right? As well as like observing based off of like Machi's like words, and just like what she was requesting to figure out what sushi was, right? Phase 3 was, Trick Tower, and it was all about like mental endurance almost, right? And then Battleship Island was about cooperation. That's all they had to say about that. It was one sentence. I like how it was very obviously like, oh yeah, we did filler for you, huh?
Yeah, there's that too.
And then Zeble Island was just like all around like testing a bunch of stuff, right? So it's very obvious to Bodoro, at least, that the final phase should be a written exam.
Of course. It makes so much sense.
And everyone's face immediately drops. And
yes.
It's like, it was the funniest part of this entire batch.
Is so good.
Just the reaction.
I laughed audibly. Yeah. That was excellent. That was just a great comedic beat. And it's just like, the way that Bodoro here's very serious about, like, this is real evidence. He is so dead set. Like, he's like, this is it, guys. It's going to be a written exam. You don't understand.
And people believe him, too, because like, he's made it, like, I don't know. What was it? Yeah, he said he just spoke so confidently, right? And it's so funny because he said last year he didn't even make it past the first phase.
Yeah.
So, like, they have no reason to believe him, but he spoke with such confidence and, like, just backing up his own, like, assumptions that everyone just immediately believes him.
Yep. Yep.
Even
Including, and this was my favorite part, including Hisoka.
Yeah,
That is so good. That was the best part of all of this. Even Hisoka, who's like, he's miles above all these people. He does not care ultimately, but even he's like, a written exam, dude. Are you kidding me? It's over.
It's so over.
That was incredible. I loved that so much.
No, yeah. 99 hasn't done a ton of comedic stuff, you know, aside from like the only other thing I could think of was like the Battleship Island stuff, like with the hotels, like hotel rooms, right? But oh my gosh, they nailed this joke. It was so funny, and then it persists through the rest of the episode too. And that's what I appreciate.
Yeah, we're not done. So basically, from here, everybody's like, "All right, I gotta prepare. Let's cram. Let's go to the library. Let's study."
Yeah. So Leorio, Pokel, and Hanzo all like immediately sprint out the door. They are gonna go prep.
And now Bodoro is left alone in that room with Hisoka and Ilumi, and he says, "Well, I really had no idea and was just talking nonsense."
So funny. And
it's amazing.
everyone else is like freaking out, and he's just like, "What did I do?"
He was just talking out of his ass the whole time.
And it again, it's funny that even like people like Kurapika are just like, "Yeah, I believe that." And, you know, they all go to just study, you know.
Yep. And so yeah, that's the bulk of the rest of the episode. But before we get to funny stuff, we do actually have the scene between Kurapika and Gon that would normally happen at the end of Zevil Island, but it was moved to here. And man, they did a great job.
It was great. Yeah.
It was so sweet. I think they made it even more emotional than it is in the source material. It's just like, I mean, it's pretty similar, but it just, I don't know, something about this scenery. And it's also, this calls back to a similar conversation that he had with Kilo in this like exact same spot in an earlier episode. So it's just cool. It's like this kind of, this is like a consistent location for deep conversations to be happening. And I think that's neat. It's a cool through line.
He had that with Killua a few episodes ago. Had it with basically in the same spot with Killua this very episode, talking about the same thing. Yeah. You know, with his, you know, how he got Hisoka's badge in the first place, right? And what that really meant to Gon. Now with Kurapika, and just like I think that's what makes this more effective than I usually recall this scene for, because they structured it and the build up to this scene just so incredibly well. I feel like, I don't know, like they never went all in with discussing the source material until they pulled the trigger with the Kurapika scene here. And I kind of appreciate that to some degree, because it lets us sit on that like tension of like Gon actually like expressing his emotions about the matter. Yeah, so my worries from last time, I was worried this scene would kind of not feel as good because of the filler that they added, but it feels the same. It's really great. I think they did an excellent job here. Yeah, just like the shot of like the camera panning around Gon's face to see the tears streaming down his face. That was good. Yeah, I don't know.
Very well done.
I don't have any complaints about how they did this scene, and that's good. That's very good.
They nailed it, and I love that it's between these two. It's they're the best. These are effectively the main characters, as we know now. Like Kurapika is the deuteragonist. And this is just a great little scene between the two of them that feels important,
Yeah, this was a bonding moment for them, because like Kurapika very obviously like knows these types of feelings that Gon is feeling about, like feeling like something is out of his own hands, and how like he feels like he needs to be better than what he is now, to achieve what he wants to achieve. That's very Kurapika very much relates to that, so it's very much a bonding moment between the two. Just having their hearts poured out like this.
Yeah, so that was excellent. Even in this, mostly comedic episode, we still get a really great heartfelt moment. So then we cut away to all the proctors discussing what exactly this final exam is going to be, and they're all talking about all the participants. And Menchi is going on about Leorio again, about how he saw her in a towel, and he's like, "Oh, I can't believe this guy." Yada yada, Of course, they got to call back to that.
Yeah, they have to.
So Netero is explaining a little bit about the final exam, but really only in the sense that he needs to prepare, is what he says.
Yeah.
And that do we learn in this episode? We do, right? Or is it the beginning of next that we learn what it actually is? I think it's the end of this one.
We learn at the very end of this episode.
Yeah, that's right. So we'll cut back to that in a second. But first, we see our boys in the library.
They are studying.
Yep. So at first I was like, damn, Hanzo, I got to give it up. These other two are sweating, but Hanzo, hell yeah, that guy's locked in. He is studying his heart out. Let's go, dude. Pokel kind of gave up immediately.
Yeah, he's like, there's no way I'm going to memorize all this.
Also, he's reading out loud, this asshole. Right next to other people.
Bro, quit disrupting their thoughts, man. Hey, maybe there's like strategy behind it though. Like you're studying, but also like interrupting the other people. Studying too, Like,
you're right. Yeah. You're right.
But he looks over though, and Leorio is like doing something over there.
Yeah.
Like, hey, what are you doing over there, bud? Leorio's just like, no, I'm just preparing my trump card, and he's obviously writing down a cheat sheet.
Yeah.
So Pokel immediately rips it up like super quickly. That got a laugh out of me.
Yeah, and Leorio's like weirdly not bothered. He's like, oh man, why'd you do that? But he doesn't really seem to care all that much.
No, yeah.
So,
like, hey, man, what the hell? Like,
yeah. And then Pokel looks at the tie that's wrapped around Leorio's head and sees that there's another cheat sheet on the back of that. He's like, man, what the hell, bro? And then he must just have an inkling, like, okay, there's something up here. So he just searches his whole body and just keeps pulling out different cheat sheets from all over.
I was laughing so hard at this. Yeah. That is such a Leorio thing to do in that kind of situation.
Yeah.
And two, just like the dynamic is just so funny. Like, I don't know what it is. They gave Pokel so much character in this one episode that I feel like every other adaptation has for his character, and that's insane to think about. Yeah,
I really liked Pokel here. So yeah, and obviously this all culminates in Leorio just being like, well, I mean, it won't really matter much if I cheated after I have my license. And Pokel's like, I mean, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, like, who's gonna
Fair
care?
Enough. Yeah.
But also then gets up like a zombie possessed almost. He's like, what's happening with him?
And they're like, well, what are you doing, man? And he says he's going to the proctor's room. Because there has to be a copy of the answer sheet somewhere in there. And he's saying there's like shadows on his eyes. He's like, he's serious. He's gonna go do this. He's gonna get the job done.
And I quote, "For a ninja, any means necessary to complete the mission is justifiable."
That's right.
So
he leaves the room. And they tackle him, and they're like, "What the hell are you thinking, bro?
Yeah, no, you're not going anywhere without me. Like, you're gonna share that."
Yeah.
He calls Pokel Poop Hat. So
yeah, Poop Hat, which he's not wrong.
If it wasn't purple, if it was like brown, then I guess got a point there.
So then, there's an announcement over the intercom that they interpret to mean that the final exam is happening, but obviously it's not the case. But basically, they're calling every applicant up to talk to Netero one-on-one.
One by one, in the conference room.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they immediately think, like, oh, God, we're screwed. Like,
this is it. It's over. They're doing it early. But it's actually Hisoka that is called first. This is a really interesting scene. I mean, this isn't new. This is also in the manga, but it's cool to see done here. It's a really interesting scene all around. I don't know why. I just really like seeing the two of these two characters talking to each other.
I think it's because
especially given like future knowledge.
Yeah. It doesn't happen often, an encounter between these two specifically.
Yeah. Well, this is the only time.
Well, yeah, the only time actually. Oof. Sheesh. Yeah. So it is special.
So Netero obviously asks, "Why do you want to be a hunter?" And of course, Hisoka's just like, "Yeah, I just want to kill people."
Yeah, I won't get in trouble.
And Netero's just like, all right, right on, man.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
So he lays out all the photos of the applicants on the table, asks who the most interesting is, to which he points at Killua and also Gon, but he still settles on Killua, which makes sense. He's a Zoldyck. I think Hisoka knows that. Right? Yeah, he has to. I mean, he's friends with Illumi.
Yeah. What kind of question was that? Yeah. He definitely knows who he is.
Yeah, definitely does. So then there is the question, who do you least want to fight? Or wait, no, is it who do you most first?
Which applicant would you least like to fight? And then that's when Hisoka's
first.
like, well, I guess that applies to Killua too, but for now, Gon is the one I don't want to fight just yet.
Yes.
Like that is his answer for he wants to fight Gon the least. Not for not for the reason that you would expect though. Obviously, it's because he doesn't want to fight.
Yeah. Right. He wants to let the fruit ripen. So then this is a scene I've always loved. He then says, and just for the record, the person I want to fight the most is you.
And Netero's just like, oh, thanks. Yeah.
Cool. All right, that's it.
Not
I love that
at all. Yeah, no, he's... I don't know. He does not give a fuck about Hisoka.
Yeah. And Hisoka even admits that he's dumbfounded him, just that he's so unguarded. He's such a casual guy. He's not really worried about a thing.
Casual old man.
Because why would Netero need to be?
No, he has no reason.
No. I don't think Hisoka would be much of a challenge to Netero.
No, and I think Hisoka knows that too.
Yeah, especially after that interaction. So, then another really great scene here with our comedic trio here. They were outside watching, hoping to catch Hisoka as he came out because they wanted to ask him, like, okay, how was the final exam? Because they're still convinced that that's what it was. But obviously none of them want to actually talk to Hisoka.
Yeah.
So they push poor Pokol right into him and have him do it. And he just kind of awkwardly asks, like, so how was the final exam? And Hisoka, I love that he plays along. He's so good. He's like, it was a piece of cake. Yeah. And they're like, well, what was it? He's like, it's a secret.
It's a secret.
Amazing. It's so good.
Oh my god.
They nailed it.
Break, yeah.
Yeah. And so then they call Pokol in next. And he's like, oh my god, it's over. It's so over.
Yeah.
And they ask him the same questions. We don't got to go through every answer to every question here from everybody. But, it's about what you'd expect most people. And from here, they all are called in one after another. And also during this scene with Pokol, the two outside determined that, okay, this is not the final exam.
Yeah, which means it won't start till we reach our destination. Some more time to study. Woo!
Yeah.
Yeah, and Lara says, if I stay up all night, I can make enough cheat sheets to pass.
That's my goat, bro. I love it.
Amazing.
So yeah, all the rest of the applicants are called in. Is there any particular answers you wanted to talk about here?
So all of them were pretty they'd be who you would expect. I guess the only interesting ones would be Kurapika, his question to, or his answer to who do you least want to fight. His answer is just well, I'll fight anybody with a good reason, but without a good reason, I won't fight anybody. So
yeah,
gives non-answer
Very
for
cool.
that basically. So stoic as he is.
Yep.
And then the only other one of note that maybe I want to discuss on, because I believe there is a slight difference to this one, is Killua's answers.
Okay, what's the difference? I'm actually not sure off the top of my head.
So I'm looking at Hunterpedia right now. And wait, where is it at? Oh yeah. So basically he answered within 99 that, well, his whole thing is that he lies the first time around, right? And then Netero sees right through it, and he's like, okay, well, you should probably be honest, kid, I can tell that you're lying. And so Killua's whole thing about the most intriguing is, it's Gon, obviously, right?
Of course.
And then the person he least wants to fight is Gon as well in 99. For obvious reasons. He just really likes him. But according to Hunterpedia, in the manga, Killua does not attempt to lie in the first place when he's asked the question by Netero.
Oh.
Which I thought was interesting.
For some reason, I thought he did. I had a memory of that happening, but interesting.
And in the manga as well, he answers Gon still as who he finds the most intriguing. But it's still Pokal that he wants to fight the least for the same reason that he apparently lied about in 98.
Okay, that's why I remembered it like that. Because I remember him answering Pokal, and after he revealed that was a lie, I was like, okay, something's up. But okay, I see. Yeah.
So interesting how they kind of spun it here, right?
Yeah, that is interesting. And you could even read it that way in the source material, really.
Yeah.
But,
so I don't really mind how they presented it here, but it was a difference that I wanted to note on air here, right? Because I think that's an interesting direction to take, kind of just spinning the material, and I think it's kind of effective for the most part too. Kind of showcases, hey, Killua was kind of grown attached to Gon by this point, So
yeah,
I
really like
that. It
that.
leans into that. Yeah.
And I am a fan of Pokal being the answer, just because he doesn't want to fight him because he's boring.
Yeah, he'd be the most boring to fight.
Yeah, it's very funny.
That's on brand stuff. So you could take either or adaptation wise, I guess, of that scene.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, cool either way.
And then Killua leaves the room, and we have another really cute scene here where Gon has an apple laid in front of the door, and he snatches it up with his fishing rod. And immediately Killua's like, "You sly dog, that's how you got Hisoka's badge."
Yeah.
I love that. That's such a cute little moment.
Very cute moment. Which leads into a little, I believe it's a 99 original scene with them kind of on the deck of the boat, and Gon's kind of showing Killua with the hook all wrapped up and stuff, basically how he trained himself to do that, to get Hisoka's badge.
Yeah,
really
with
cool.
Kurapika and Leorio looking on. And Killua nails it in one try, and that really bums Gon out.
Yeah, knocks out that seagull clean too, by the way. That poor bird.
Killua, being the good friend he is, he goes over and he's like, "No, it's just a fluke, man. Don't worry."
Yeah, but I got lucky.
And then, yes, here we go. We have the reveal of what Netero has been up to. He's making a chart, which he then shows to the other proctors. I guess we still don't see it. Whatever, we'll see it in a second. So, anyways, everybody lands at the venue for it's a tournament. You guys know what it is.
Well, Leo's like, "All right, I've been cramming nonstop.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I'm so prepared right now.
Let's go. I'm so ready."
And immediately after, Netero's like, "The final phase is going to be a one-on-one fighting tournament."
And they're just like, "What are you talking about?" And they were so convinced. They literally say it out loud. Like, "I thought it was going to be a written exam." And Netero was like, "What are you talking about?
Where did you get that idea from?" And then they all looked
to Botaro. And he's just like, "I don't know."
Yeah, look at me, guys.
I love that. Rip Botaro. I'm gonna miss him when he's gone now.
No, if they were they got the best possible use out of Botaro here. They
did. I love it so much. I honestly, this is something I really wish had been in the manga. I think this is so good.
Yeah,
it was so funny.
This is legit, just a very funny bit that carried almost the entire episode for me. That was incredible bit, honestly. Kudos to the 99 staff for being able to use Botaro in that way to set that up.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, great stuff. Loved it. That's my favorite episode of the bunch. Just so funny and entertaining. Yeah. And there's also that really sweet, heartfelt moment between Kurapika and Gon that I love. Great stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Great all around.
But yeah, we end off this episode though with the reveal of the bracket that Netero created, and it's, if you maybe in case forgot what that bracket was kind of like for this part of the Hunter exam or this final phase, I think they explained it actually in the beginning of this last episode.
Yeah,
we talk about.
That's right. But worth noting, at first, everybody's under the impression that this is a tournament which will result in only one winner because of how the bracket is formatted. But we'll see in a second. So, this next episode 27, HISOKA, KURAPIKA, Spider's Whisper. So, obviously,
title.
Yeah, immediately, and this was from the preview as well, just seeing that, I was like, what? What is happening?
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll talk about it. This is a mixed bag. I'll have a lot to say here.
It's there's a lot. Yeah, there's stuff I like, and there's stuff it is very questionable at the same time. So we'll get into that soon.
Yeah. So right off the bat, by the way, this episode is not very good looking. I just want to say that.
No, I don't think it's the worst looking episode of 99, but like it's, there's some spots in here where I'm definitely like, okay, like that could have been animated a little better, surely. Right?
Yeah. So once again, it's a weird thing because this is filler, but it happened,
this is detailing stuff that happened off screen originally.
Yeah, out of order.
Out of order at the same time.
Different. This is weird, guys. This is all jacked up. We'll get to more things later.
Yeah, buckle in.
Anyways, Netero obviously explains, okay, this tournament is...
Kind of like
it looks like there's only... It's a reverse bracket. Yeah, like one person will lose. So the loser moves up. And so whoever doesn't win a singular match, they're done. So only one person is going to fail the exam. Also, if somebody kills their opponent, they're disqualified, and that means one person lost. So that means everybody else passes, and that's the one loser. Oh, and the person that died also.
Yeah.
So, very simply put, that's how it goes. And he also goes on to explain, and this is, they still keep this explanation in, which bugged me because of how this plays out now, that this chart was ordered by a hidden statistic of how well each participant did in the exam. And obviously, in the manga in 2011, the first fight is Gon versus Hanzo. Mm-hmm. But now, the first fight is Kurapika versus Hisoka.
Interesting.
So, everything's weird now.
The dynamic is very much shifted because of this change, for a couple of reasons that we'll get into soon. But
it both accentuates the Kurapika favoritism that 99 has, and also downplays Gon, kind of. But, we don't get to see Gon and Hanzo's fight here. I'm sure it's going to be awesome. It looked great in the preview. So we'll see when we get to it. I'm sure they did it justice. It's just everything's out of whack, but we'll get to it.
Yeah. This is also the scene, though, where we get Killua kind of stepping up being like, hey, what exactly was the grading criteria here? Because I think he might notice that he's a little bit low on the chart, right? So he's wondering, hey, what the hell, old man,
And Netero's like, well, I'm not going to tell you guys, but then he tells them. So
he tells them because I think like everyone is looking at him weird, like, okay. Well.
Yeah, but it's like, he's like, oh, it's a trade secret. I wouldn't, you couldn't get this information out of me no matter what. And then he just tells them anyway.
And he folds immediately, yeah.
So,
granted, I think that scene happens like basically the exact same in all the adaptations, but like it just,
I think so. It's very funny. So, it's pretty basic. You just kind of... how exactly does this go? There's three things that they look at.
There's three main criteria, which is like...
physical ability, mental
ability,
acuity, and overall impression.
Yes. And then he goes on to say, well, the first two, we're already tested on through every other phase in this exam. So, like, that's kind of like whatever at this point. The main thing that he's ranking on at this point in the exam, because everyone else has already shown the first two qualities at this point, right, is the overall impression, which was what the interviews helped with, because you got an idea of who was the most impressionable out of the group that's left.
Yeah.
And obviously, not a whole lot of people were pointing at Killua as that. Compared to, people like Hisoka or Gon, right? So, that kind of gets to Killua, I think. He's like, oh, like, what am I missing here,
Yeah.
Which is interesting. I've always found that scene in particular interesting. But
Yeah, this is obviously given what's about to happen, what we all know is about to happen. This is sort of, we're starting to get into Killua's psyche more, which is cool. So yeah, Killua's very bothered by this. That's notable to everybody around him, but he's not going to say anything.
No.
So I guess from this point on, we can kind of just move into the fight.
Yeah, because he just explains more of the rules, basically. Like, if you kill your opponent, the test will be over. You can use weapons.
Yep.
They start announcing the different matches. I think they were already announcing the matches even before all this. Hisoka versus... mainly Hisoka versus Kurapika, Gon versus Hanzo. And then the others are kind of just left.
Which is, I'm assuming, the only fights we're going to see still. Well,
probably,
this is new. So, okay. Obviously, everything's different, so this is what we're doing now. This is Kurapika versus Hisoka. This is the fight that's starting. Everybody's spectating. We have this constant cutaways to all the proctors just thinking in their heads about the fight, and every time they cut to Buhara, he's just like, man, I'm hungry.
Yeah, man, when's lunch?
Okay. It's like, the first time I was like, haha, and then the second time I was like, and then the third time I was like, all right, man. I think we get it.
Good sold. Yeah.
So, anyways, the ref here is named Luis, who's
I noticed that too.
Yeah.
I was like, what is he doing here?
Yeah, what's he doing here? So, and this is an original character for 99, because obviously we only see the one referee who we'll see at the end of this episode in the manga. So, anime original Luis here. That's exciting.
Very exciting.
My favorite character.
Yeah, Leorio was rooting for Kurapika to lose
yeah.
here.
So
like,
he doesn't
bro,
have to fight
please don't
Hisoka.
send Hisoka further up, man.
So, we start off immediately. They're getting ready, and Kurapika goes full out. He pulls out those sick-ass swords right out the gate.
Oh, yeah.
I'm glad, for nothing else, I'm glad we get to see the swords again because of this filler.
Yeah. And okay, regardless of the aftermath effects of this, of the showcasing this fight, right? Like, where they are. I guess, like, the order changing specifically, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want to state my appreciation out the gate that they're even showing this fight in full in the first place in this adaptation. I think, like, in a vacuum, right? That is so cool that, like, this is, like, the only adaptation that'll really show this fight.
Yes. A few things to say about that, though, is that, for one, if this fight were to have been shown in the manga, it wouldn't have been like this because, I mean, for one, Kurapika doesn't have swords, actually. So there's that.
True.
And
but we can imagine it. I can hand wave that away. Like, no problem.
Right, exactly. Those are sticks, whatever. It's not like he ever cuts Hisoka with it anyways.
Yeah.
So there's that, and also just the fact that this fight feels really empty to me. It's just, there's not much substance to it. It's just kind of like, it's a fight, and that's a shame because Hunter x Hunter is a series full of very, thematically resonant fights and, weighted fights that feel like they are important. And this doesn't. And what I appreciate about the manga's version of it is like, yeah, we don't get to see the fight, whatever. But we get to see the moment of the fight that matters, which is, Hisoka whispering in his ear. And this is basically just a long, drawn-out way to get to that same moment.
Yeah, I don't entirely disagree, for sure. I think there's just the spectacle of, like, of the fight in general is, like, probably worth some value to many, right? And that's something I can still appreciate myself, I think. Like, at this point in the series, we don't really have all the details on every single character in the first place to really go all in on, like thematic fights specifically, right? Especially with Kurapika, who we still know very little about overall at this point in the series.
Right. And Hisoka.
So, yeah, and Hisoka. So, like, for me, it's not as big of a deal, I think. Like it is, like, more soulless in that regard, right? Like, it feels like it's a fight for the sake of being a fight. I don't disagree with that. But at the same time, I think that's kind of fine for this point in the series for a fight to happen like that. And if nothing, it kind of just shows the stoicism of Kurapika as a whole, right? And just kind of like lays into
True.
that. So, yeah, I don't know. It's not the biggest deal in the world for me, but I could see why that could bother others for sure.
Yeah, and I don't hate this by any means. It's just kind of, to me, it really just adds nothing.
Sure.
But it is neat to see. I'll at least give it that.
Yeah. And again, like any kind of like difference that of an experience that you can have with an adaptation like this is something worth noting at the very least.
Mm-hmm.
Something worth at least like raising intrigue about, right?
Yeah. So this was our first time really going over a fight episode. So
weird now.
forgive me if this is bad because I don't fully know how to recap a fight. But
we just explain their actions as the fight goes, I guess.
I suppose, yeah. So they start fighting, and the first big play is that it's noticed that Kurapika's one of his blades is like cracked.
Oh, that's like middle of the fight. What are you doing, bro?
What, you want to talk about him just throwing cards at
Well,
it? You do this.
okay,
Go ahead.
Okay,
Go ahead.
I will.
All right.
So
let's do it.
So the fight starts with Hisoka basically like flipping through his deck, like kind of taunting Kurapika almost, right? Basically saying, you should keep a tight grip on those swords, you don't want to lose both, right? Two swords are like make a great swordsman or something like that, right? Or they say that two swords become one in the hands of a master. That's what he says.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of like playfully drops his cards. I read that as kind of Hisoka basically just like intentionally dropping his cards just to kind of like play around with Kurapika, right? Like he's not taking this seriously at this point, right?
There's no reason to.
Right. But that does lead Kurapika into kind of like charging in with the swords. Cool little sequence here, I think, with like the white background almost as that's happening. Get a cool shot of Hisoka like catching the card in his hand as like it's like flying behind Kurapika trying to hit him, which I thought was pretty cool. And yeah, that does lead into just a cool little action sequence. Hisoka just kind of flying through the air. And then around this point is when we see that Kurapika's blade is cracked, presumably from deflecting the card that Hisoka flung at him in the first place, right? And this is kind of where the fight turns. And this is also where we kind of like go to the Proctor's thoughts on the fight. Like, wow, this is fun. Wow, these two are really good.
Wow.
When do we get to have lunch?
That's it.
Yeah.
Really adding a lot, guys.
Yeah, no, they're great commentators, surely. But yeah, so Hisoka basically's like, you've already lost, And Kurapika's like, what makes you say that? And that's when we see the crack in the blade, right?
Yep.
Fight continues on, and Hisoka charges at him and basically just destroys the blade that was cracked almost immediately. And so now everyone is kind of just like, oh, what will he do now? Leorio's like, bro, like it might be over. They're like, you don't fight, dude. Just give up, right? There's always the next match. And obviously Leorio's still kind of all in on that because
yeah.
Don't send Hisoka up, man, please.
Yeah.
But Kurapika kind of having full resolve at this point of like really wanting to win. He kind of drops the broken blade. He just kind of grabs hold of that one blade that he still has. He says, "I'll tell you something that might interest you too. Losing one of my swords definitely puts me at a disadvantage, but I will more than make up for its loss with my pride." And
hell yeah.
Yeah. So Hisoka's like, I see. Okay. And they continue with the fight, and this threw me off guard. It looks kind of cool, I think, but like, what the hell? So Kurapika goes to slash Hisoka, and he seemingly slashes through what looks to be his body, but he just slashes through like an entire stack of cards. So like, I don't know what kind of instant transmission bullshit Hisoka pulled there, but
yeah, that was sure something. And that's also like right after Hisoka's like, yeah, people call me a magician, but I don't really do magic.
Yeah.
And then that happens.
Explain
it's like,
that.
Okay. Yeah, what's the trick?
Just lightning speed, I guess. I don't know. But
Cool.
it was a cool visual at the very least. But yeah, Kurapika's kind of shocked by this, obviously. And then immediately looks like he gets donutted by Hisoka. And
this is the weirdest, like, there was no effort to convey this in a creative way. They literally do just show him getting impaled, and then he just isn't.
yeah, it's in a span of literally like a second. So this causes a roller coaster of emotions going through our heads as the viewers, right? Kurapika gets donutted by Hisoka's like fist. It cuts to Leorio immediately going wide-eyed, like, oh shit, my friend just got killed, right?
Yeah.
And then they show, like, you know, a little, like, glide by, basically, Kurapika going by Hisoka. And then it shows that it's just, like, a tear in his shirt. And he didn't actually get impaled. Like, what in the world happened there?
That, like, whatever they were going for there, they messed up bad. Like,
yeah,
I don't...
Even
there was, like, a storyboard issue there or something.
No, absolutely. Because even going back and pausing on the frame of which, you know, the supposed impaling happened, it does look like it just straight up went through his body. Like, I can't see that any other way.
No, that's what it is. Straight
and
up.
Even if you could see it some other way by pausing on the frame, what does that say by, like, you having to, like, go to the frame to see exactly what happened there? Like,
right, yeah.
Something happened there within the storyboarding. That was whack, I thought.
Yeah, that was rough.
It was rough.
It was really hard to read, and I was not a fan of that moment. I was just left confused and stunned.
No, and it's even more, like, bewildering because, like, now we're just seeing it's, like, basically, like, Kurapika's clothes just got torn. Like, maybe just a scratch on his side. And then he still, like, falls over from that. So, like, okay, did he get impaled or not? Like...
yeah, like, what happened? I just don't know what happened. I really don't know how to read that.
And it's like, everyone is still so concerned, too. Like, Leo's like, damn you, Hisoka. Like, you know, if you know if you kill your opponent, like, you know...
Yeah, he literally says that.
Like... what are we supposed to believe here? Like, you gotta, like, line up what you're showcasing versus what everybody is saying. And, like, obviously, everything is completely out of whack here. So, not something I particularly like, obviously, about this fight. But,
yeah.
It is what it is, I suppose.
It is what it is.
But, to Hisoka's credit, he does say, that's why I'm doing my best to take it easy on him. Like, you know.
Of course.
Obviously, not trying to... I wish he would give up quick. Kurapika still gets back up, though, is still fighting, swings at Hisoka. Hisoka easily dodges out of the way, grabs hold of his arm, kind of puts him in some kind of, like, submission move, and then just kicks him away onto the floor. And it seems like all is done for our hero at this point, right? Like, there's no way Kurapika's beating Hisoka. Leorios keeps telling him to stay down, like, you know, you don't need to fight. Kurapika gets back up again. And he's ready to fight again. And as Killa puts it, all we can do is stand back and watch their fight at this point because nobody is stopping Kurapika here. You know, he wants to go all in. He wants to win, right? Which I guess leads into the question of, like, why Kurapika is fighting so hard in the first place. And that kind of leads into what you were questioning earlier in that, like, it does feel kind of soulless in that regard, this fight. Because, like, there's not really, like, a specific reason for him to be fighting this hard other than to become a hunter, I guess, right? It's just weird in that he would have multiple other chances after this regardless if he lost. So it's a little weird, like if you think about it hard enough, I guess, that, like, why are they fighting so hard? Or why is he fighting so hard specifically? When it's not like it's all on the line here, you know? You could say it's for pride, and that would be in line with Kurapika's character. So it's not something I'm, like, really stressed about. But it is a natural question, I think, that would come to mind as a viewer. So they have a little bit of a dialogue here, Hisoka and Kurapika. Like, you know, basically Hisoka questioning why he's still fighting, you know. Questioning why he's fighting so hard as he is, even. Hisoka's kind of sound like us right now.
Yeah.
And Kurapika just goes at him again, like, you know, I won't stop. Like, I won't stop until I beat you, right? Gets a close hit in on Hisoka. He barely dodges out of the way, though. Just dodges all of his slashes, blocks one of his sword strikes with, like, 2 cards, which I thought was a kind of a cool shot. And then we go into a scene where he's like, yeah, you better stop, man. I'm starting to get agitated again. And this immediately gives Gon like non-flashbacks of his encounter with him. Because he says the iconic line again here, why do unripe fruits look so tempting?
Mm-hmm.
And very obviously showcasing the potential within Kurapika himself as well, right? So Hisoka is starting to go crazy over this, and then Kurapika immediately looks up with the scarlet eyes. Emotions are high at this point, right? And as right after we see that happen, everyone else is kind of like, oh shit, like, this means business now, this fight is really like going all in. And we see, I think it was right before this scene even, we see the craziest look on Hisoka's face whenever this happens.
Like really freaky.
It's terrifying, I think. That's the most like, not the most detailed his face has ever been, but like he looks creepy. Yeah, that's probably the best way to put it. I can't remember exactly where in the scene this happens, but I if you watch the episode, you know what I'm talking about.
It's after he pulls like the card out of his.
Oh, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's the damage that Kurapika did to him after he did had the scarlet eyes, and then Hisoka looks up, and then he's muttering to himself. That's what he is.
And he's saying, "Gotta calm down, gotta calm down." I really like that. That was probably my favorite part of the episode.
Yeah. Favorite part of the fight even, because like it shows like my god, he was like on the edge. Like pushed him any further, he might have actually like gone to kill Kurapika, right?
Kill him, yeah.
And it's the eyes in particular, I think, the way that they were drawn, like very like you don't see. I feel like in most like anime, you don't really see depictions of like pupils going like really wide out of like a crazed look, right? But they pulled it off really well here with Hisoka, where like his pupils are just like out of this world, like he's in an entirely different dimension here. And his head is shaking the entire time too. Gotta calm down. He's licking the blood off of his card to kind of like satiate himself almost.
Yeah.
It's so creepy. And then this leads into him walking up to Kurapika, just throwing the card onto the ground, walking out of it with nothing in hand, just walking up to Kurapika, and he whispers something into his ear that we do not find out for another like 5 minutes. Which is another change we'll get to. But
yes.
He whispers something into Kurapika's ear. His eyes turn scarlet again after what he's been told. Hisoka keeps walking past him and basically says, I forfeit the match. He wins.
Yep.
And yeah.
And by the way, you said 5 minutes, but it's more like one.
Okay, well, yeah.
So this is where I want to take over, because this was the most baffling thing in the world to me. So yeah, that happened. Like that's just the scene, straight up. He whispers in his ear. We don't get to hear what he says. And in the source material, it makes sense to not hear what he says because it's a reveal later at the end of the arc when it's relevant information towards setting up the next arc. But here, it happens immediately. Like we see the the moment where you don't hear what he says, and then right away there's a 30-minute intermission between fights, which is also new.
Yep.
And it's Kurapika and Leorio only, by the way. The others aren't even here. Kurapika tells Leorio exactly what he said,
which was that he had information on the spider.
Yep. So
I don't know why they chose to reveal that here, but
so weird, because he's gonna have to reveal it again to Gon and Killua.
Yes,
because just Gon. I mean, not Killua, but
no, with Killua actually, because looking at Hunterpedia, he does not share this information with the others until the group leaves Kukuru Mountain with Killua.
Well, right, but in the original he would have said this to Gon like after, because Killua would have been gone. He says this at the end of the Hunter exams, I think. No?
I don't think he does.
Oh, wow.
I don't think he reveals it until they all split up after getting Killua. Because that's
and
you're
right. You're right. Yeah. No, you're absolutely right.
So it's even weirder in that regard.
It's like, even weirder. It's so weird. I guess it's going to happen again, So
it has to, right? Like that's the only
They
reason
just-
like they could explain Kurapika going off on his own after that, right? Like I don't know.
Yeah.
Very weird decision there. to say the
super
least.
weird all around, and that's all the intermission happened so that scene could happen, and also
Yeah.
Hanzo and Gon taking a piss.
Yeah,
I guess.
they were taking a piss side by side urinals, no
Yeah.
space apart from one another. That's a little
Yep.
weird, guys. And then they're just like, yeah, good luck in the fight, man. Yeah, you too.
Right
I
on.
don't think they actually say that, but like you're like, yeah, ready
Something
for the battle?
like that. Like, yeah, let's go. I'm not holding back.
Yeah. While they're taking a piss next to one another.
Yeah. And we
That was their
that's
bros.
it. That's the intermission.
Yeah.
Cool. That was really worth adding. Thank you. And then we get to the match. We're back in total canon territory now.
Yep. Yep. Well,
we have
aside from
Masta.
everything kind of entirely being changed with like, just like the order of events, right?
Yeah, but I assume from here on out it'll play out pretty normally.
You have to think though, because like something that just kind of came to mind thinking about it, right, is that like the order of the matches was supposed to be decided on like the ranking of the individuals, right? Like the seeding, quote unquote. So it's
Yeah.
kind of interesting that and again, Kurapika is 99's favorite child. That like they're kind of showcasing that Kurapika was kind of like the number one seed almost, or like that him and or Hisoka. Kind of throws a dynamic of like Gon kind of being like the prodigy of the group like on its head. Right?
I know, that's what I was trying to get at earlier. It throws everything off in a way that I'm not too fond of.
That's something I'm gonna have to sit on for a little bit to see if that ultimately matters to me. But like, it's so interesting regardless, and like that's something I feel like didn't really need to be changed, even if they wanted to show the Kurapika Hisoka fight.
Exactly. It makes me really, really wonder what it's gonna look like when we do the flashback. After Gon wakes up.
Right.
Is it like? I guess it'll just
there
be the
will be.
Killua stuff. Yeah, like is that even gonna be conveyed the same way? Are we gonna see everything in real time? I don't know. It's so weird.
It's interesting to think about going forward now with the episodes we're venturing into.
So you gotta think ultimately, what was gained from showing this fight? And really, the only thing I could come up with is that Gon sees it happen. And is that really important?
No,
Because
not
no,
necessarily.
it's not. I really searched my heart. I was like, does this add something that I'm just not seeing to the story here? I couldn't think of anything.
As a narrative device, it really doesn't add anything. Yeah.
No, it's
The main thing that doing this adds, and just by pure, and again, it doesn't even, you can't even really consider this as like a point for it, because like they could have done this even with putting Hanzo Gon like as the first match still, right?
yeah.
Like what we gain ultimately is just seeing like a pretty good fight between Hisoka and Kurapika, aside from like a couple things, right? But like I don't know, that's pretty much it. Yeah. It's so weird. It's so interesting, but so weird.
So weird. It's like I was entertained for the most
Yeah.
part. Like it was an interesting episode, but it really just left me sitting there like, why? I just don't get it. But
yeah, I kind of
it
feel
happened.
the same way. Yeah, it did happen, and I ultimately still got some value out of the episode. I thought it was like the fact that it's a different experience than what I'm used to with Hunter x Hunter is like enough for me to go like, okay, that was like a cool experience still, right? So I'm not pressed about it by any means, but it's I don't know. It feels like an unnecessary change for the sake of being an unnecessary change at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And that's that does end up being kind of a common theme with 99 filler, but I felt
it's
it
so
even
weird.
more so here.
I think it's just it's really weird though, because there's really good filler in 99 too that's
Yeah,
like
there
very
is.
serviceable stuff.
With substance, yeah.
Yeah. Like you have like Leoriel's introduction at the beginning of the series, right? And we have literally an episode ago with the studying stuff.
Yeah,
Like,
that was
that provided
great.
a lot of comedic value for that part of the of the exams, right? Like leading into the final exam, it provided good levity before ultimately the conclusion of this arc, right? Like, it's so like it's weird where it's weird to think about when you have filler like that has very good added value to this this watch through, and then you have this filler where it's like I mean, it's different, it's new, it's kind of exciting at the same time. Like, why, right? Filler quality is just kind of all over the place, I feel like, for me. It's so weird. It's so weird.
Absolutely, yeah. Because obviously there is very good filler in this adaptation, but then, there's still stuff like this that sneaks its way in. And, it is an interesting case here. This is the first time we've had something back-to-back like this. We have a really good filler episode that we love, and then just, like, not a bad episode, but just a...
And not even bad...
What are those...
And not even bad filler necessarily, because like again, it's a fight that we didn't see before, and I think that's kind of cool. I was pretty entertained still, but like it's just kind of. Did we need to see that? Did it really add anything that I wouldn't have gotten already out of just like watching the original source material? Not really. Yeah. So I don't know. It's a weird case.
It is, and this is definitely one I'm very curious to see what our audience has to say about it, because. I expect there to be some varied opinions on this. I'm assuming there's going to be fans of it.
I would have to assume so, right? Like I'm not like a hater of it too.
No.
It's pretty enjoyable, So
yeah.
It's just kind of like I'm not necessarily fence sitting, but yeah, it's just weird. It's just weird.
Yeah, it is. Fence sitting is a great way to put it, because really I just don't know what to say about it. It's such a I can't even form an opinion. It's so. It's a thing that I saw, I just don't know what else to say about it.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, there's pros and there's cons. That's kind of where I'm at with it. Like, take it or leave it almost. But
yeah.
I liked it for what it was, though, like in a vacuum at the very least. And
yeah.
And again, it just kind of adds to like this batch in particular that we're discussing today just being like crazy. Crazy interesting.
Yeah, that's kind of the note I want to end off here on, is just the fact that this batch was a lot different than we were expecting it to be for a multitude of reasons. Like, for one, we thought there'd be a lot more Tompa because of that the preview from last week.
Yeah.
But then beyond that, I think we both kind of figured, okay, it'll just be stock standard, like it'll do the tournament and no filler. I was thinking we'd see the Hanzo fight this episode, obviously. Like, why wouldn't I think that?
Right.
But nope, we saw pretty much nothing I thought we would see this week, which is very interesting.
Yeah, actually. Went in all sorts of directions. So
yeah. So yeah, you got anything else to say before we move on?
No, I think we kind of hit the nail on the head for most of it.
All right, well, let's see what you guys had to say then.
Let's get into it. Okay, now it's time to hear and read what you guys have to say about Hunter x Hunter 99, episodes 25 through 27. Usual reminder, if you want to get in on the fun discussing any given topic week to week, make sure to keep an eye out for the YouTube community posts, as well as the call-out posts on our Twitter and Bluesky accounts. And of course, if you're an audio-only listener, if you don't have social media for whatever reason, you can always email us your thoughts at hunterassociationpod@gmail.com. So we only have YouTube comments to go through today, but we have a couple of decently long comments, so this section should still be pretty lengthy. We'll get into it right now, though, not waste any more time of your guys's. First up, we'll go with Gargoyle647's comment. Episode 25. Shout out to Leorio the Goat. Couldn't agree more. He contributed a lot there,
Hell
obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Episode 26. The written exam gag was one of the funniest things ever in all of Hunter x Hunter
Hell
media.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to agree, honestly.
It was hilarious. I loved it.
Even Hisoka was worried. LOL. I really liked the moment when Gon shared with Kurapika what happened to him with Hisoka, with tears running down his face, with sunset lighting and music. It was a beautiful scene. And Kurapika being understanding of Gon shows his empathy. Yeah, that scene is fantastic, I think.
It's great.
I think we can all agree on that for sure. Episode 27. This version really loved Kurapika. They extended the whole fight with Hisoka. Yeah, again, Kurapika's 99's favorite child. I'm convinced at this point. They're all in on Kurapika specifically.
No doubt. No doubt. It's just, he's like the poster child. We used to say it was Leorio, and They still do lovely Oreo, but he's kind of faded into the background now with Kurapika. He's really taken the lead.
As soon as the exam started, they just went like, okay, we're just gonna showcase Kurapika at literally every single moment.
Yeah.
Which I'm cool with, but at the same time, like, I don't know. I'm still getting used to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Next up is from Xander, who says, episode 25, Tompa getting mistaken for a perv by Ponzu. Great stuff. Yeah, it was funny.
Yeah.
I'll give it up.
I'll give it up.
Episode 26, the boys studying, was pretty hilarious. I like how the hunter exams here makes all of the different characters interact more casually between each other. It probably makes the Botaro kill a little more heartfelt since the whole studying thing is this doofus's fault. Love you, Botaro.
Yeah, that's kind of what we were saying. It kind of makes him a little bit more endearing right before that scene. Gets good use out of it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, for sure. I knew it was coming. They couldn't, like, the amount of filler that they had in 99, I knew they had to have something with Botaro, and they did not disappoint. Episode 27. Okay, here we go. Okay, I hate how they messed up the order of the fights. The order was supposed to signify how well each character did in the exams, right? That was the whole reason Killua got mad at it. Now it's fucked because he should be even more mad than he is here. True.
That's a good point, actually.
Yeah, he really should be. Okay, it's not a huge deal because we know Netero's ranking isn't purely based on who's stronger, but it bothers me nonetheless that they changed it. All of this just to show Hisoka versus Kurapika while Gon was awake. And other than a few cool moments, was it really worth it to see this fight? Maybe, but it wasn't really needed, IMO. That's okay, so, basically what we said.
Yeah, similar sentiment there. There were some cool moments. Just seeing the fight itself in a vacuum is pretty cool, but like, yeah, I have to agree. I don't think it really was needed. Like, I don't know. At least in the structure that they kind of framed it in. I don't think it was needed. Maybe there was a different way where like you could argue like, okay, seeing this could add to the story at this point, right? It wasn't the case here though.
No,
at least in my opinion.
Nope, absolutely not. Yeah, that's interesting that we kind of came to the same conclusion. I'm very curious to see what everybody else has to say now too.
Yeah. Moving on to the next comment on that note, from Tasteless BB60. Episode 26 was really fun. Love seeing the shocked reactions to the written exam. It was so funny I had to screenshot them.
Yeah, they're great.
Hisoka versus Kurapika. Hisoka and Kurapika are both in my top 5 favorite Hunter x Hunter characters, so when I realized that we were getting the fight extended, I was very hyped. I'm happy to say there were some really cool parts to the fight, but also sad to say there's a lot I disliked. So just very mixed bag as a whole, as we're saying.
Yeah.
Starting off with the positives, I loved every second of action, from Kurapika's swords to Hisoka throwing his cards. Both of the characters looked strong and impressive for the most part. Hisoka, especially during the first half of this fight, he looked and felt like a monster. I love all the little comments he made, like how he's actually quite scientific when he fights.
Oh, and yeah, that one.
And also creating a little story with Kurapika holding on tight to his swords. But not just Hisoka, Kurapika also had his badass moments here. When I first saw the 2011 anime, I didn't really care for Kurapika until York knew. That's because Kurapika is best written when serious and has his back against the wall. Yeah, I can agree. I agree, yeah. When that happens, we usually get to see his mind-blowing intelligence and or his Scarlet Eyes activate and see him kick ass. Which is why Kurapika in York New and Succession is better than Kurapika in Hunter Exam and Zoldyck Family IMO. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's even a contest, to be honest.
No, there's not much to Zoldyck Family Kurapika, but
the reason I bring that up is because I feel like we finally got to see a little of that Kurapika in this episode, and I loved it. Okay, that's a very good point. And I mean, it's a cool fight in a vacuum. But like, it's a cool fight overall, and I'm happy that we see it in some degree now with this adaptation. So that's something I can give credit to for sure. And yeah, just a lot of cool little action sequences in there too that I liked. Now with what I didn't like about the fight, I thought there was way too much inner dialogue by the examinees and examiners.
Yep, there sure was. Yeah.
I know it's a common shonen trope, but it felt like there was more of that than action, which got annoying very quickly. Thankfully, YouTube has the option to speed up videos because I got so over it that I started speeding up the episode every time there was inner dialogue by someone that wasn't in the fight. It really messed with the flow of the fight and honestly kind of ruined it for me. I feel like it would have been more tolerable probably if they just kept it to like Leorio, Gon, and Killua instead of like shoving the Proctors in as well.
Yeah,
reason,
like,
right?
dude, I was ripping on Buhara mainly, but do we really need to hear what Menchi thinks also?
Yeah.
I don't care. I like Menchi, but man, I don't give a shit. I
And
gotta
the
be
most
honest.
she said anyways was like, wow, they're going all out.
Yeah, whoa, look at that. Okay, shut up.
Yeah,
I don't care.
I'm so much more intrigued by like Leorio kind of like saying like, hey, you don't need to do this, man. Just you can throw, it's fine. Like that's more adding of commentary to me than just like, wow, this is cool. Like,
Yeah.
it disrupts the flow for sure. So I agree with you on that. Yeah, it really messed with the flow of the fight and honestly kind of ruined it for me. It wasn't interesting dialogue, unlike something from Netero versus Meruem. Of course, that's on a whole different level, but I'm using it as an example to make my point. No, I see exactly what you're saying.
The thought of just comparing this fight to Netero versus Meruem is really funny.
It's I need to get back on track before I laugh too much more. I also didn't like how Hisoka reacted when Kurapika reflected the card back and stabbed him. I'm not talking about how they drew Hisoka's face. I thought his face looked both creepy and funny. I loved it so much that I had to screenshot that to ROFL. That might be the first time I've seen ROFL used in like years.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is a good point to bring up the fact that, yeah, the way he reacted is like, well, first of all, I really don't think Hisoka would have got hit by that. Like, I sound like a power scaler right now.
Oh
but like,
my god.
man, this is Hisoka. I don't know about all that. But, it happened, and his reaction was really over the top. But that's Hisoka. I think that is pretty in character. If he were to get hit by something like that. Yeah, right.
I think he goes on to further detail, though. My problem was his reaction felt sort of out of character. Oh, wait, okay.
Well, okay, let's see.
I'm not sure if him getting unexpectedly hit would really freak him out like that. I would expect him to be excited or happy about it, not have a mental breakdown. Well, okay, I read that as like he's like desperately trying to control himself from just like going all out on Kurapika, right?
He was about to get like excited and do like his murder crazy shit. I don't think he was scared or anything, unless I'm interpreting it wrong, but that's just how I saw.
Yeah, I saw it as kind of like an inner struggle type thing. Like he couldn't hold himself together.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not sure if you two talked about this yet, but I'm curious to what you two think. Well, now you know.
Yeah.
Overall, I think there was more negatives than positives to this extended fight, but happy it happened either way. Also, I don't want to form an opinion on this fight happening before Gon's fight with Hanzo until I see the next batch of episodes and see what they do. Okay, no, that's fair
kind of where I'm at too. This opinion will probably evolve a little bit after we see, Hanzo and Gon's fight.
Yeah, I'm curious how they'll tackle that now, knowing that they did this one first. Like, if anything will change, that's mainly what I'm curious about. But
yeah, for sure.
Similar sentiment though all around. Like, yeah, it's just happy the fight happened. Just for the sake of it being different. But I don't think what they added was really necessary, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, now it's your turn, Kaige, and it's insert name time, guys.
Okay, it is insert name time. We did cut your comment up a little bit, just to save time. It was very long this time, insert name, but we were still reading a good chunk of it. We're starting with your episode 26. Section. Yeah, there you go. That makes sense. So he starts off with this by saying, "Boy, sure is convenient. No one took those badges."
Yeah, actually, I thought about that too. I was like, well, they were on the ground this entire time. Nobody stumbled upon them.
Like, holy, that is unbelievable. All right, so episode 26 is a top 10 episode IMO and the best filler in 1999. We're peaking early. I believe it, though. I do believe it, because that was great. Only really the Leorio filler is in contention, but that's in scone. Huh?
Do
you know this word?
I don't know, but I'll look it up now.
Man, insert name. You gotta quit doing this to him.
Ensconce. Establish or settle someone in a comfortable, safe, or secret place.
Let me ask you something, Dylan. Do you think he did that on purpose?
Yes.
Okay. I think
Yeah.
so too. He definitely looked up synonyms and used that word.
Absolutely. I agree.
Ensconced in one of the worst produced episodes and in a way that degrades the plot around it.
So yeah, you're referring to episode 2, right?
Yeah,
Where-
that was 2. That was episode 2.
I don't know if I necessarily agree with that still, even in
Yeah.
hindsight. But
Yeah.
yeah, either way, this episode ended about episode 2, so I don't want to dwell on it too much.
Right,
but
exactly.
Yeah.
This filler fits logically in with this point of the story. Also, the Kurapika Gon conversation to breathe and expands on all the characters is in a fun and effective way in a time that it really needs it.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yes.
it lets you sit on that, and then it gives you immediate like levity as well, like
Mm-hmm.
while kind of like acknowledging that moment happened. Yeah, it was just
Yes.
very well paced.
It's great. It's so fun seeing everybody be a little idiot and overthinking everything. Great character reactions and provides vital characterization right before the tournament in a way that makes you care a bit more about them. I'm genuinely more upset of seeing the old man die after this conversation. Here. Yeah, exactly.
Me too. Yeah. Also, Botaro's name.
Yeah,
Respect that
Botaro.
name.
Come on, bro. He seems great, to be honest. The gags here are perfect. It's a great B plot to the Kurapika and Gon convo, which I also think they do pretty well.
Yep.
There's not much to say here other than I just really like it because, quite frankly, it's flawless. I couldn't agree more. I really
Yeah.
had nothing bad to say about that episode.
It's a fantastic episode.
Yeah, one of my favorites so far. The reaction faces when he suggests it's a written exam are priceless. Yep. Especially, we didn't even really talk about the fact that Pokel actually does like the scream
Yeah.
face.
There's a lot.
so funny.
A lot of screen grabs you could have out of that scene.
Yeah. Excellent stuff. Was Kilo always taller than Gon? I don't know.
That's a good question, actually. I don't
yeah.
remember.
Gee, you sure talk a lot for a ninja. That's very true.
Yeah.
And Hisoka fights Gon, and what does he immediately? What does he do immediately afterwards? Stack cards, baby.
Oh yeah, they showed that
Yeah.
briefly when like he was like, all right, all attendants, report back to the ship or whatever, right? After the Zebo Island.
Yeah.
was done. Yeah, he was just stacking cards in a field or something. Or on
He
a rock.
loves stacking cards so much.
It's his favorite pastime.
It really is.
Okay, now we're gonna get into the beef of insert names comment, which is on episode.
I'm
27.
excited.
Yeah, we got a lot to go through here, so me and Cage will be alternating once or twice. So, I'll start off though. Okay, 27. Sorry, this is gonna be long. Don't apologize.
Let's
it's
hear
okay. They swapped the fucking fights. Who's the troglodyte who thought this was a good idea? I see what your opinion is now. Okay.
Let's hear him out.
I'd call this bullshit the most smooth-brained, asinine, and unnecessary change in the whole series if there wasn't one so much more egregious that it boggles the mind coming up.
Whoa. Okay. You got me hyped, man. What is that gonna be?
Oh, baby. Yeah, we're going to discuss soon.
Oh, man.
Anyone who has seen 1999 will know what I speak of. Oh, it's infamous? Okay.
Oh, wow. I don't know it. I really
I don't know it
I'm
either.
very excited. Okay. Interesting.
I don't know for sure, but I believe the reason is to have the better animated fight be the finale. But that is not a fucking excuse. This choice was what created the other notes to be expletive laden, by the way. Okay. Fair enough.
Sure.
Here's the many multitudes of ways this irks me to no end. Gon wasn't able to lay a hit on Hisoka till after learning Nen. You're telling me Kurapika is able to draw blood beforehand. Bullshit.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
yeah.
fair. I'll give it up. That's pretty unlikely, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Netero states there are 3 metrics they are being judged by: strength, mental acuity, and presence. Or I get presence being like, what's the term again?
It was
Shoot.
man, what was it? Vibe. I don't know.
Vibe check. Yeah.
Vibe check. You gotta pass Netero's vibe check.
Yeah. When Gon versus Hanzo is the first fight, it reinforces everything about this. Throughout the exam, we see Gon be scouted and seen as having the intangible spirit of a hunter. He catches the attention of Netero with his perseverance during the ballgame, and multiple times surprises Hisoka enough to make him acknowledge him as a key prey with huge potential. When we see the matchups, it becomes immediately clear via Hisoka's placement that strength is not the ultimate factor. With him as the first match, it's much harder to internalize this feeling, especially when we are then shown Kurapika having anything resembling parity with Hisoka in a fight. The only indicator that strength is not being used is Killua explicitly saying he's upset by his rankings, which feels very showy here, whereas when the setup is laid out for it, it becomes a character realizing what others have already figured out. Okay. Yeah?
Good
that
point.
makes sense.
Very good point. Yeah, absolutely.
Killua's shock that Gon is perceived as having more potential than him is lessened when Gon is not the top spot and rather closer to Killua on the bracket. Yeah. No, that's a good point. No. I can't argue against that.
Absolutely, yeah.
But more importantly, I hate the messaging of Hisoka and Kurapika being the prime hunter candidates.
Me too.
In 1999, we saw the most passive Hisoka, and while I could see an argument that his mentality is aligned with the principal hunter identity, it's abundantly clear he is seen as an outsider and an X factor outside the system.
Yes, exactly.
He's being confined, and almost every administrator of the exam chafes at his actions. Him being the most exemplary candidate doesn't feel correct. He doesn't exhibit the intangible aspects of a hunter. He's just strong and menacing. He brute forces his way through problems in a way I don't think the bracket should reward. My reading of his intended placement has always been a tacit understanding by Netero that no matter where he was placed, he was going to pass. And by putting him low, there was less risk of him eliminating the truly gifted candidates and pushing the lower candidates by ensuring someone of a higher caliber made it to them after round one. I got no notes.
I totally agree. And, I don't know if you're going to go on to talk. Oh, you actually are. I'll hold my thoughts on. You're about to talk about Kurapika in your next paragraph, so I'll shut up for now.
Okay, well, you're going to be reading that, so you don't get to shut up.
Yeah, well, yeah. I'll shut up. I'll shut up my own thoughts, and I'll speak for you. Insert name.
There you go.
So you say, as for Kurapika, I've already touched on the problems I have with him with propping him up in this state to save time. I'll just say this amplifies all those points. But what I really want to discuss is the knock-on effect of this emphasis and favoritism on the character of 1999 as a whole. By making this arc essentially a Kurapika arc after the initial stages, it ensures 1999 never had the proper groundwork for anything that could come after. We get 3.5 arcs in 1999. This arc... 3.5? Before the OVAs.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. This arc, which is heavily slanted towards Kurapika and York New, are the majority. This leaves a very small section of the story actually focused on Gon in the Killua retrieval arc and Heaven's Arena. Neither of those have the proper time to, I think, properly set up for the identity of Gon needed to establish Greed Island or Chimera Ant. Okay, this is an interesting statement. I don't think we can really speak to this a whole lot yet, because, we kind of just have to take your word for future events.
That's what's reading as to me right now. Yeah.
Even just looking ahead, the Hanzo fight hasn't happened yet for us. I hope they do it well. I not exactly being filled with a lot of confidence after reading this, but if the Hanzo fight is still done justice, and that's still the last fight we're seeing, you can't say that they made the Hunter exams a Kurapika arc all of a sudden. Like, he was heavily brought to the foreground, for sure. They gave him a lot. But I think it's still Gon's arc. It's just more evenly split. And I feel like they did that because, obviously, they knew about York New coming. So they wanted to have this kind of split, more direct deuteragonist situation happening. So I can see why they did it, but I do understand what you're saying.
You explain my thoughts pretty much the exact same. So
it is the final culmination of devaluing Gon and pushing up Kurapika. Gon's presence in 2011 and the manga is consistent and prominent. He is the focus, the story is snappy, and through him we learn what a hunter should be. 1999 rejects the simplicity of the story and tries to expand, but fails to consider that what makes that simplicity work was the way it interacts with other material. For almost 10 episodes, he has either been a background character or heightened his failures through his own self-doubt. Yeah, you're not wrong.
Okay.
In comparison, Kurapika is given nothing but victories. Man, you're so right. Okay, this is changing my mind a little bit. He leads the examiners, gets aura and hype moments, and is generally less flawed in this version. It makes the arc feel disjointed and less focused, muddles key theming, and warps the story in ways that I don't think they intended. I'm just going to say I don't think Gon is ever really the MC of the series in 1999. They simply aren't interested in him. Kurapika is their darling because they were inspired by Yorknu. It emotionally resonated with them. The creators love Yorknu. Okay, I'll believe it when I see it, but
I believe it.
I kind of already believe it.
I mean, I feel like every time I heard about 99, even before
it's Yorknu.
It's Yorknu.
Yeah.
It's always
Yorknu.
So I already had a feeling going into this that Yorknu was going to get the most love by far, but this is kind of.
I'm pretty excited for Yorknu, admittedly, but I'm equally excited to see how they handle everything else.
Yeah.
They love the drama of it and the complexity of the character interactions there, but I don't believe they love Hunter x Hunter. Okay, this is interesting.
Oh.
So you think they took on this project so they could do Yorknu City? Is basically what you're saying.
I kind of respect it to a degree, to be honest, but
yeah, especially for an adaptation that, for all intents and purposes ends on Yorknu City. It kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
They don't love Gon, and they don't value the other aspects of the series that make it work. Hunter x Hunter has great emotional and moral moments, but it is more than that. It's a story and structure and a power system, a living, breathing world. A simplistic premise attacked the full force of complexity at every angle, from its power system, to its MC, to its structure. 1999 loves an aspect of Hunter x Hunter, but not the entirety of Hunter x Hunter.
What a statement. Damn. Whoa.
It's a statement I have to just wait and see for myself. I like, because it's so early on. Even we're 20 some episodes in, but this is still the Hunter exams.
Yes.
Hunter x Hunter isn't Hunter x Hunter yet, fully. So I just can't say a statement like that yet or agree with it. But
that being said, I can totally see why this is kind of like the catalyst almost of of having such a take like that, though. It's kind of like everything you kind of like what you're describing here about like 99's approach to the series, assumingly, like I could like this one fight being showcased here, and like just like this episode in general, I guess, is just kind of like a showcase of like all of those of that kind of approach, I guess. So I could see why like this really irks you, knowing that you've watched all of 99 by this point.
Yeah, absolutely. And, this could be something that both of us look back on someday.
Oh, yeah,
this,
for sure.
This fight, and we're like, oh, man, this is where it all got fucked up. Like, we just don't know yet. That is literally the last episode we watched. We don't even know the next episode beyond it. That's our end point. So, I don't know. Anyways, he goes on. It's the extremes that make that sink in. Having a high potential kid be the top and the strongest person at the bottom makes that work. It doesn't work here at all. And that I can at least objectively agree with. I think them changing the rankings and the bracket in general is really odd and dumb. But it happened. This is the hardest part for me to decide if I was or wasn't going to include, because like last week with the Gon self-doubt stuff, it seeps into the Hanzo versus Gon fight, but given the events of that fight from 2011 and the manga, I think I'm fine to say that things stay the same. Okay.
That's fair.
Gon fundamentally changes the temperature in the room. In the Hanzo fight, his childlike stubborn nature makes the hunters take perspective and reconsider the very nature of the tournament. He defanged the menace and aura from the brutal design of the system, made to make them suffer, and demonstrated why he unlikely is befitting of being a hunter.
Why he uniquely is befitting of being
Oh, yeah. What did I say?
unlikely.
Oh, what the hell? Sorry. He is strong-willed, driven by desires, and makes others capable of doing so themselves. Having a full fight before that changes the entire tone of the tournament and doesn't let the slow development of the true nature of the tournament sink in. Yeah, I get that a lot, even though we haven't seen this next part yet. But I agree. Having a fight before the Gon and Hanzo fight is such a weird decision. But we've talked about that enough. Part of the reason Hanzo versus Gon plays out is because it's the first match and people are learning about what the actual meta of the game is. Hanzo misconstrues it as a game of torture, but in reality it's a game of patience and wills. By moving it back, the pace of the tournament is changed.
Oh, that's a decent point, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Yeah, okay. So moving on to the last bit of his comment here. On the positive side, the expanded fight does have some elements I like. Oh, he's not a pure hater, guys.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
For one, I'm a huge fan of the design of the palace in 1999. It's a great setting backdrop and more tangible than the designs of in 2011 and the manga. Okay, I'd have to look back at what they looked like in 2011, I think, for me personally.
Yeah.
But I'll take your word for it, yeah. Someone already mentioned it, but they really love to expand the interior and designs of architecture, like palaces and hotels in 1999. And I gotta say, it's one of the best parts. Not a huge fan with how sometimes we get a black bar of shadow appearing at the top of the screen, or the regular shadow pattern that is somehow present on every single shot on the floor. I genuinely despise that floor. Like seriously, that's not how lighting interacts with floors. But I did say I was going to expand on positive elements. There's some imaginative fight choreography, particularly the way Hisoka catches the blades with his cards is great. Yeah, I loved that shot, personally. And while I stand by disliking the presentation of Hisoka in the island phase, I do think it works better here. The best depiction of Hisoka so far. His snake-like eyes are the most visually interesting Hisoka has been so far, and his face after getting stabbed feels truly delusional. Yes, delusional.
For sure.
That's a fantastic word there to describe that.
Yeah.
Having that right before he composes and cancels the match does work. And then seen after with the combo with Leroy and Kurapika. Oh, and then seen after with the combo with Leroy and Kurapika does work. Oh, you think you like that? Huh.
Oh, wow. I completely disagree with you there. I thought that was dumb as hell.
I think personally I could just take it or leave it. I just thought it was a very weird change in general.
I think it's completely dumb personally, but I don't know.
I don't think it really matters when you reveal that. I think it's the way it was structured, because they structured it as if like we're not supposed to know what Hisoka said just yet. Like, oh, it's a secret. You know, what did he say to him? And then we get told it like a minute later. I think like if the way that was shown, that's what irks me about it the most. But like the actual like timing of like, revealing what he said, I don't think it really matters that much to me personally.
It feels like they just didn't trust the audience to remember that scene happened or something. So they just immediately explained it.
Like I feel like maybe you would like even not even bat an eye at that as much, Kaige, if like they didn't show like the whole like, you know, whispering in his ear. What did he say?
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah.
So what doesn't work about the fight? Not too thrilled at the unexplained making Kurapika into a donut, into immediately showing just his shirt cut and him fine. Yeah, what was that all about?
I'm telling you, that was a storyboard issue. It had to be. It's the only thing that makes sense.
Really cheapens the fight. If you're going to donut someone, commit. Though the fight feels a bit choppy, both in the way it's edited, particularly the interjections by the others stand out, but also just in the general action. There isn't a really good sense of flow, and some of the kinetic stuff just feels far too segmented. Yes, it feels very sloppy in that regard. Ultimately, though, I think this is one of the most cuttable material in 1999, and I truly believe with this gone, it would have left time to expand on things that needed to be compressed given how long the exam arc ballooned.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
That is so true. Yeah. Like, we're already running really long on this arc. Like, holy hell.
Yeah.
I did not think we would still be on the Hunter exams on episode 27, and we're not even done yet.
Nope. We still have a whole fight to go, and then some cleanup.
Yep.
So, yeah, we're still here. But, yeah, no, good points all around this week. Insert name. I agree with pretty much all of it. And, yeah, just a very weird change. Just weird. Just weird. That's the theme of today's episode. Yeah.
Weird.
But yeah, that does it for community comments this week, guys. Thank you so much for writing in. Another reminder, if you want to get in on discussing any given topic week to week, make sure you keep an eye out for the YouTube community posts, as well as the Twitter and Bluesky call-out posts. And, of course, you can always email us your thoughts at hunterassociationpod@gmail.com.
That's right. And with that, this has been the Hunter Association. Thank you so much for listening. We are available on all major podcasting platforms as well as YouTube for the video version. Be sure to follow, rate, review, and comment on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. You can also follow us on Twitter at TXHXAPod as well as Bluesky at THAPod for updates on the show and as an alternative way to submit responses to the weekly call-out posts. As always, we'll be here the same time every week talking about Hunter x Hunter. Dylan, where can people find you online?
You can find me online at DJ Tengen. That's DJTENGEN on Twitter and Bluesky. Dude, I'm just a One Piece trading card game player at this point. That's literally all I tweet about now, I feel like. So, yeah, if you're interested in that, go see what I'm up to, I suppose.
And you can find me on Bluesky at now Manga Kaige.
Oh, what's he doing, guys?
Yeah, wow. So yeah, if you're watching the YouTube video, you could see that below my name this whole time. But yeah, I changed my @ because I'm very shortly going to be starting a new YouTube channel with that same name. So I just wanted my name to be consistent across social medias and such. So yeah, that's the idea of that. Keep an eye out for that channel if you care.
Highly encourage you guys. I know he's been putting in a lot of work into launching this channel over the last few months now. So definitely go keep an eye on his socials for whenever his first video drops. He's gonna put out some great work, guys. So go check him out.
Thanks, Dylan. And for the show, next week we actually are gonna take an off week.
Yeah.
Just because. Get some stuff done. Take it easy.
Sometimes you just need a break, right?
Sometimes you just need a break. No particular reason. But, excitingly, we will be coming back next month with, of course, another character retrospective, and we are going to be doing Isaac Netero.
Yeah, fitting for who started this whole final phase in today's episodes, right?
He was relevant.
So, yeah. So keep an eye out for July 6th episode, I believe. That'll be Netero's character retrospective. So be ready for that.
Yeah, next month is a pretty big one, guys, actually. A lot of stuff's happening. We're going to get an Impact. Yeah. And also our 1-year anniversary will be next month.
So, a lot of cool stuff coming up. So keep an eye
And we'll be
on
finishing
this.
the Hunter exams in 99 next month as well.
Whoa.
So, wow. Finally.
Crazy.
A lot of cool stuff.
Can't believe it.
So, look forward to that. We will not see you next week. Probably no bonus episode or anything either. We're just taking it easy.
Yeah.
But we will meet back here on the 6th of July to talk about Netero. So look forward to that, and we'll see you guys then.
All right. Take it easy, guys.
All right, everybody, welcome to our discussions on chapter... shit. What am I thinking? Hasn't been one of those in a while.
Yeah. Whoa. You're getting ahead of yourself now.
Yeah. We're behind.